Some stories sound so outlandish they must be science fiction, an array of antennas hidden in the remote wilderness of Alaska, quietly broadcasting powerful radio waves into the sky. Secret experiments, hush-hush government funding, and rumors of weapons that can manipulate the weather or even the human mind. It all seems too bizarre to be true. And yet, maybe it isn't. They called it paranoia. They called it fantasy. But behind locked gates and beyond the frozen tundra, the high-frequency active auroral research program, better known as HAARP, took shape under layers of official denial and cryptic science. Welcome to the Unknown Archive, where today we peel back the layers of secrecy around HAARP. How did a research facility in Gakona, Alaska, become one of the most controversial and conspiracy-fueled installations in modern history? And why do so many believe it holds the power to alter climates, trigger earthquakes, or even reach into our very thoughts? Buckle in, because the closer you look at HAARP, the stranger and more unsettling its story becomes. To understand how HAARP came to be, we need to step back in time. It's the late 1950s. The Cold War rages, and both the United States and the Soviet Union are locked in a frenetic race not just for missiles and warheads, but for any edge that could turn the tide in a potential global conflict. Among the many battlegrounds of this silent war was one you might not suspect: the ionosphere. Nestled roughly 60 to 600 miles above Earth's surface, the ionosphere is a layer of charged particles influenced by solar and cosmic radiation. For decades, militaries worldwide suspected that if you could harness, manipulate, or even just better understand this layer, you could transform long-range communication and radar systems. After all, radio signals bounce off the ionosphere, enabling messages to travel vast distances across the globe. Interfere with those signals or enhance them, and you could gain an unparalleled advantage in surveillance or strategic communication. Flash forward to the 1990s. The Soviet Union has collapsed. The Cold War is officially over, but the quest for technological dominance remains. That's when the High-Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, HAARP, formally launches with significant backing from the U.S. Air Force, the U.S. Navy, and major defense contractors. Officially, its purpose is benign: conduct basic research into the ionosphere to improve communication and navigation technologies. But as we'll see, the cloak of military involvement soon casts a long, suspicious shadow. Imagine you're traveling along a lonely highway in south-central Alaska. Around you, endless forests and rugged peaks stretch out under a sky that can go from dazzlingly blue to a relentless gray in minutes. Suddenly, in the distance, you spot something that looks wildly out of place. Rows upon rows of tall, metallic antennas arranged on a grid, each pointing skyward. This bizarre array is the heart of HAARP. At first glance, it looks like a high-tech farmland of steel pillars. Step inside, though, and you'll find generators, control rooms, and enough power equipment to beam high-frequency waves directly into the ionosphere. This is the Ionospheric Research Instrument, or IRI, the centerpiece of HAARP's capabilities. By transmitting focused radio signals into a chosen section of the ionosphere, researchers can create small, temporary disturbances in the charged particles. They then study these disturbances, gathering data that could help develop better satellite systems, protect against solar flares, or even improve the clarity of submarine communications. That's the official story, at least. But secrecy breeds suspicion, and as we'll discover, HAARP's official narrative is only one facet of a much bigger and much stranger picture. The phrase "weapon of mass destruction" usually conjures images of nuclear bombs or chemical agents. But for conspiracy theorists, HAARP is the ultimate wild card. A weapon that quietly lurks in the electromagnetic spectrum, invisible to the naked eye yet potent enough, they claim, to wreak havoc on a global scale. Over the years, these theories about HAARP's hidden powers have taken several forms. Weather control: could HAARP's beams superheat portions of the ionosphere, creating shifts in atmospheric pressure that steer storms or cause droughts? Some go so far as to link HAARP's activity to hurricanes like Katrina or anomalous tornado outbreaks, insisting that these catastrophes are not acts of nature but tests of a new meteorological weapon. Earthquake triggers: the ground beneath our feet is shaped by tectonic plates drifting, colliding, and grinding. Yet some insist that bursts of HAARP's high-frequency energy can penetrate miles into the Earth's crust, triggering seismic unrest. Whether it's the devastating earthquake in Haiti or the tragic tsunami in Japan, each major quake spawns fresh chatter in conspiracy circles that HAARP might be to blame. Mind control. If HAARP can direct electromagnetic waves into the sky, then perhaps it can target the human brain. According to certain theories, these transmissions could induce moods, manipulate thoughts, or even incite political unrest. Is there scientific evidence for this? The short answer: mainstream researchers say no. But for those who remember secret experiments like MKUltra, the idea of large-scale brain manipulation doesn't sound so far-fetched. The official stance from HAARP and mainstream science is clear. These claims are baseless. They argue that the power output isn't nearly enough to affect global weather patterns or geological faults, and the frequencies in question don't match those that interact with human brain waves. Yet, a facility that was once largely closed to the public, funded by the military, and uniquely capable of beaming radio frequencies into the ionosphere invites speculation, and speculation inevitably breeds conspiracy theories. You might wonder why the U.S. Department of Defense would pour millions of dollars into a project that, on paper, has no direct defensive capabilities. The answer lies in the Cold War mindset that lingered into the 21st century. Knowledge is power. Better understanding of the ionosphere could not only improve communication systems for the military but potentially disrupt or jam the enemies. In an era when satellites and long-range radars dictate the outcome of conflicts, that's no small advantage. Moreover, HAARP's research, while overseen by the Department of Defense, often involved collaborations with universities like the University of Alaska Fairbanks. Many of the studies ended up in academic publications, adding to the confusion. Was it purely academic or partly militaristic? Depending on whom you ask, it was a bit of both, an uneasy marriage of open science and classified objectives. The duality of HAARP's nature, the blend of public research and military interests, kept the project shrouded in half-truths. A place that many believed was just an academic lab consistently raised eyebrows for the sheer scale of its operations. After all, how many labs come with the potential to generate millions of watts of HF radio energy? As the internet gained prominence in the late 1990s and early 2000s, HAARP found itself at the center of a digital storm. Conspiracy forums buzzed with talk of secret agendas and global plots. Some citizens of Alaska voiced worries about the effects on local wildlife. Could massive radio transmissions disrupt migration patterns for birds, or interfere with the orientation of fish in nearby streams? Local rumors compounded the concerns. There were stories of strange humming noises, unexplained lights in the sky, and mysterious vibrations felt in the ground. Although many of these incidents could be explained by natural auroras or mechanical processes at the facility, the presence of a top-secret base in the vicinity inevitably fueled outlandish tales. For a while, politicians around the globe also took notice. European Parliament members raised questions about HAARP, labeling it a potential environmental weapon. Activists wrote letters, held protests, and demanded transparency. The U.S. government largely brushed off these claims, insisting that the scope of HAARP was purely scientific and that all other accusations were unfounded. By 2013, the U.S. Air Force announced budget constraints would force HAARP to close. Operations winded down, and in 2015, the facility was officially transferred to the University of Alaska Fairbanks. In theory, this signaled a shift towards civilian oversight, allowing university researchers to continue experiments without the looming specter of military control. But for die-hard conspiracy theorists, this transition was the equivalent of a Hollywood plot twist. They argued that the real, classified work of HAARP had already moved to other, even more secretive locations. Perhaps the U.S. government had learned everything it needed from the site in Gakona and was ready to implement its discoveries on a global scale. Shuttering HAARP, according to this line of thinking, was nothing more than an elaborate ruse, a sleight of hand to make the public believe the threat was gone. Meanwhile, the University of Alaska opened the facility to open houses, inviting journalists, scientists, and curious locals to tour the antennas. Attendees found no menacing death rays or mind control booths, just an array of transmitters, power equipment, and data collection instruments. The staff explained their research in straightforward scientific terms, pointing to published papers and peer-reviewed studies. And yet, the myths persisted. So what does HAARP look like now? Much of the year, The facility lies dormant, its antennas silent under the Alaskan sky. Periodically, researchers schedule experiments, fire up the transmitters, and gather data on ionospheric phenomena. To the casual observer, it's just another day in the world of atmospheric science. For believers in the darker side of HAARP, though, this lull in activity is precisely what's suspicious. If the facility was once so crucial that it drew millions of dollars in funding, how could it suddenly be left in the hands of a university without major military oversight? They point to an array of new technologies: directed energy weapons, advanced radar systems, and space-based lasers, and wonder if HAARP was simply a stepping stone to something bigger and more elusive. In the realm of conspiracies, the official story seldom quells speculation. The facility's remote location, the massive scale of the antennas, and the history of military involvement continue to spark fascination. And let's not forget the broader context. Government secrecy has historically masked real projects that seemed outlandish until they were exposed, like Project MKUltra or nuclear tests in the Nevada desert. Who's to say that HAARP won't someday join that list? At its core, HAARP represents the collision of cutting-edge science and the fear of unknown power. In a world where controlling the weather or mines could be the ultimate military trump card, it's easy to see why HAARP becomes a lightning rod for speculation. The science might say that the facility's capacity is nowhere near what conspiracists claim. The conspiracists retort that science is sometimes a facade for hidden agendas. So where does that leave us? Is HAARP just a misunderstood research station that fell victim to Cold War paranoia and internet-fueled rumor? Or is it the tip of an iceberg, an early experiment in a grander, more clandestine quest for mastering Earth's geophysical processes? What do you think? Could a grid of antennas in Alaska truly wield enough power to alter our planet's climate or tinker with our emotions? Or is HAARP simply another chapter in humanity's endless fascination with secret government projects? Let us know in the comments. And if there's another enigma, conspiracy, or hidden piece of history you want us to investigate next, drop it below. We might just dedicate a future episode of the Unknown Archive to your suggestion. The unknown isn't just out there, it's everywhere around us. Thanks for watching the Unknown Archive. Stay curious, stay skeptical, and remember, sometimes the most unbelievable theories turn out to be more real than we ever imagined.